So, for this upcoming update, NWI has been teasing us quite a bit on Twitter with, upcoming content. The first thing I want to talk about is the Glock that's coming. Yeah, cool. New sidearm. I don't really use them much. Um, you know, Going pistol only isn't as viable as it was in Insurgency 2014, even though it wasn't really that viable back then, but with armor-piercing rounds you could get some stuff done. But in the new one, you've just got too limited ammunitions, and I don't know, pistols. The range isn't really good for most of the maps since the distances are quite a bit longer in Sandstorm. Next, I wanted to talk about the MG3. So, I think it's the Insurgents which are getting this MG. I think it's great that we're getting a new weapon, but I think the security would have been in need of an MG more, or maybe it's a bit of a nerf to defending a security, since fire support makes it a lot easier with helicopters and all that. But the reason why I say this is because I think that the PKM is a lot better than the M249, because if you play with it, you can see that it basically one-shots all the time. You can use it as a DMR if you like, with a 4x, but you still have the option to go full auto. The M249, on the other hand, never one-shots. It has a faster fire rate, but it's less accurate when you start spraying. And the PKM, I must say, is a lot easier to control in close quarters combat. But yeah, here you can see some footage and a picture. Next up, we're getting a couple of new MP5s. It seems we're getting a modernized version for the Insurgents, and the classic MP5 from Counter-Strike Source for the security force. I think this is great. New SMG. So far we've just had the MP7 and the Uzi, and the Uzi is bloody awful, let me tell you. I mean, it's a low caliber, it has low fire rate, and then the spray is just pretty wild, so it's just an amalgamation of a collection of just things, undesirable things, and I think it's a pretty useless weapon. The only time you'd want to use it is if you're trying to run that really light loadout that Kamakut has been running, where you're basically not wearing any armor, not wearing any vest. You're just going in with an Uzi with drum mags, because without any vest you'll have free mags by itself, so you can just run around with free drum mags, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the game really needs some new SMGs. I think that this is just going to do the game good. Now this is to be credited to Rocket. He did a video called The Hidden Weapons of Insurgency Sandstorm. Basically he was going through the files of the game, and with the developer mode he found weapons that hadn't been released yet. One of them was the MP5K, which is like a short version of the MP5. I think that's pretty nice. Maybe you'll be able to, turn corners a bit easier than in with the other MP5s, but it'll just have higher recoil. So I think it's, maybe if it's cheaper, it'll be good than a regular MP5. Next up is the RPK, which is basically an AK with a drum mag. I'm looking forward to this personally, because I think the AKM is the best weapon in the game right now, just price to performance. Getting one with a drum mag is going to be a lot of fun. I tested it out a bit in the local play with the commands, and it's got a bit higher recoil, but it's not unmanageable, especially since you have a bipod to go with it. We also saw was the L1A, which I loved a lot in the original Insurgency, or Insurgency 2014, whatever. And just because it was an amazing DMR for the marksman class, with a suppressor and some AP, that gun felt amazing. But I don't know how it's going to fare without the AP, because what it is basically, it's a FAL with limited fire mode, so it's just single fire. Next up is the Galil. What made that weapon incredibly fun in 2014 was that you could attach a drum mag, but we'll have to see how that is. I think it handles pretty poorly in the current version of the game. It's got a very big kick to it. The next thing that has been found are the G24 masses, which are underbarrel shotguns, or you can equip them by themselves. I think this is going to be pretty game changing, since just imagine you've got an M4 with a 4x scope, and then for close quarters you can just switch to a shotgun. I think that's going to be pretty meta changing. I think it's going to be a bit overpowered. I don't know. They can probably just balance it out with the point pricing. But yeah, I think that's really going to be quite interesting. I can just imagine the mad plays people will do with that. And you know how fun the loadouts will be. I mean, I don't know if you could attach that to a Mark 14 DMR. That would be pretty cool. Or the SVD. You could run some pretty nice loadouts. Because I mean, shotguns in the current version of the game, like with flechette rounds, you can just get insane long-range kills. Basically, you don't have to aim as accurately, and you know people will just drop if they're not in cover. So generally, I think things are looking pretty bright for the future of the game. You know, especially if they get the optimization down. I think it will be a worthy successor to the original Insurgency. But you know, as I said, I'd rather be making videos right now than playing the game because I don't know, it's just every match feels the same right now. You know, the same maps, same weapons, same everything. And I'd really love to see the return of some of the old maps. I thought maps like Market or maps like Station were really fun, like compact maps, and you could kind of feel that the devs wanted to do something a bit bigger but were limited by the source engine in those maps. And I don't know, I think they could expand upon those maps. I know they borrowed some elements from Market in the map Summit, I think. But you know, seeing Station again, you know, with the river flowing through the middle, oh man, that would just be so nice. You know, generally just porting over a lot of the content from the original Insurgency, you know, especially the co-op game modes. I mean, man, the original Insurgency had so many great co-op modes. Survival, that was so much fun with friends. And also, you know, night mode, Outpost, which is like just basically wave defense. I'd like to see Raid introduced from Day of Infamy because that was also a lot of fun. What you did in that game mode was basically you go into a map and there would be 3 unknown objectives, so you kind of had to explore and find each objective. And that kept the game very fresh for a long time because you could just keep going and every match would be different in some way. And another thing I hope they add is the single player or / co-op campaign, because they did tease it, and personally I thought it looked pretty cool. Just imagine playing that with a group of 4 or 2 friends or whatever. I think it was advertised as, you know, you could play it co-op with a friend or maybe 4. You know, in co-op it already feels amazing just driving around with a buddy in the car and being on the turret or whatever. You know, seeing more of those elements in like a campaign environment would definitely be cool, and it looks like they put a lot of work into the campaign already. It would be a shame if they just abandoned that. I don't think it would make sense for them to abandon that. Yeah, last note about the new update, we'll be getting new face masks, new cosmetics in general. I know you guys will be happy about that. People on Reddit have been asking for this for a long time. So yeah, you know, sources to these videos definitely NWI's YouTube channel, NWI's Twitter. You know, all the information about the new weapons is from Rocket, as I mentioned. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Also, I almost forgot to mention they'll be adding a new firing range to test out all the weapons.